Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joey's Retro Newscast, where I'll be going over the top news of the last week in retro handhelds, retro gaming, and just gaming in general. I don't know about you all, but these past few weeks have been great for actually playing and finishing games. I don't know what it is, something about not having any sort of devices coming out, well, devices that I care about, has been fantastic for me to just sit back, play some games, do some setup guides, and do the things that I want to do. It's been fantastic on my end. I don't know about you. Let me know in the comments if you've been able to get a lot more done in the last few weeks, or if it's just a me thing. Maybe it's just a me thing. Turns out when you have endgame devices, none of the new releases really matter to you, and so you get back to what actually matters, and that's just playing some games. Now, I do a very bad job of advertising my website to you all. So, if I could stroke my ego just a little bit here, it does have a ton of great information, should be helpful to pretty much anybody in this hobby. And this week, I did a few new guides and got a few things updated. DuckStation Android Setup Guide, which a video is done and coming. Mesen DS Android Setup Guide, which we did a video on. Now there's a written version. Nully Setup Guide, MEOS Setup Guide. And lastly, my Play Night Setup Guide has a video coming. That's done, but the website is updated too. Websites, man, they have a ton of great information, including mine. There's a lot there. Jumping over into our first news of the day, Winlator is apparently back. Bruno, the Winlator developer, is back in action. Well, that's the assumption because he removed the whole post about him not being here anymore. So, seems like he might be back. I haven't seen a new release just yet, but it seems like he stepped away for a bit and now he's back. So, a nice 2 or 3 or so week vacation, which everybody needs. Keep an eye out for more Winlator development. Mesen has a new update to 2.1.0, the first in 2 years. For those unfamiliar, Mesen is a multi-system emulator, similar to a RetroArch, for example, and it can run different systems. This new update added support for Game Boy Advance, Game Gear, Master System, WonderSwan, and then a whole bunch more fixes and things like that. Pretty big update. Welcome back. Tanuki 3DS also has an update to 0.3.0. Tanuki is an up-and-coming 3DS emulator. There is some new improvements and fixes. This is still way behind something like an Azahar or Citra, for example, but more competition is a good thing. I did a dedicated video on this week, and it didn't do very well, but it doesn't really matter. The Apollo developer, yes, the streaming software Apollo, made a new program that connects with it called Apollo Profile Manager. The gist of what this does is that it saves your settings on a per-device basis. So, let's say that you usually stream to a 4K TV, and so you have your graphics in-game all set up for that 4K TV. But then you head to your PC monitor, and it is a 1440p monitor, and you can get more out of your in-game graphics, so you raise your graphics there. The problem is the game doesn't save that for you, so whenever you go back and forth from the 4K TV to the 1440p monitor, you have to keep swapping those in-game graphics yourself. Never mind if you have a 1080p handheld that you're also streaming to for that same game. So you can see how this gets kind of messy. Well, Apollo Profile Manager will automatically change those in-game settings for you, and it saves them after you set them, and it'll remember them on a per-client basis. And this is frankly an absolute game changer. Check out my video on how to set all of this up. Question of the week. What is your current favorite custom firmware, custom operating system, whatever you want to call it? Is it MEOS? Is it Nully? Is it Gamma OS? Is it Next UI? Is it Pack UI? Is it Spruce OS? Is it Arc OS? What is it? Which one is your current favorite? There is a lot out there, and some that no longer add new devices, so Arc OS might get left by the wayside a little bit because it's not really coming out for a lot of new devices unless it works with them already. And so I'm curious what the new hotness is for everybody. I think you all know my answer. It is pretty much MEOS on the Linux side. Gamma OS obviously for Android. There's no other opportunity there, but MEOS on the Linux side is still my favorite custom firmware. They do good work, those guys, but all of these guys do. Let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite? Anbernic is excited to announce that they are now shipping directly overseas again from China to the US. I have no idea what this means, if they found a way around tariffs, if US customers still need to pay tariffs, and they're just shipping as normal, if their shipping costs went up. I don't know. No clue. Just want to let you know. I will say, as a side note, I haven't seen a lot of those tariff issues across the board. So seems like whatever the US was trying to implement for tariffs, everybody else found a way around. So it's good news for us. Okay, so let's do a quick flashback to the newscast a few weeks ago. Now, the funniest thing about this one is if you look at the top and bottom bezels and how big they are, kind of reminds you of something, doesn't it? The Retroid Pocket Mini a little bit. It's so stupid, and obviously they're not hiding anything, but it's like, it makes you think, is there a bigger screen under there that you're hiding with those big bezels? Obviously they aren't, but it's just funny to see it all over again with these, I don't know, this big forehead and chin or whatever you want to call it that just does not fit for the style of what they have here. Yes, that is me making a joke about the forehead on the RG34XX SP hiding some bit of screen. And I made a joke that no, there would be no way they would ever do this. And then the narrator was like, they in fact did do that. So apparently, according to Fox's video, which I am recording this on Thursday morning, Fox's video went out this morning, they are hiding a bit of screen under the 34XXSP's forehead. However, Max Zhu, the CEO of Anbernic, was very quick to respond on one of the Chinese social media websites, basically said that no, this is actually not what's happening here, and that he's going to film himself opening up the device to show what is exactly happening here. So I don't know what's happening on this end. According to the Fox's video, the scaling is not messed up like it was on the Retroid. So they maybe didn't in fact pull a Retroid here. Maybe they did pull a Retroid here. Mr. Max Zhu seems to think that they didn't. I don't know. I have my popcorn. I have no dog in this race. I'm just sitting back and laughing because it is a funny situation. And yeah, but a side note here, is anybody else kind of tired on these? Is anybody else kind of like feeling, what can you even trust anymore? Like, am I real? Are you real? What exactly is real? If we pull back a Joey, is somebody else hiding underneath here? That's kind of where I'm at this point. Every new device that comes out, I'm like skeptical. It's like, all right, what's hidden in this one? Anyways, we'll find out more probably before this video even goes up. There probably is a response from Anbernic, and then we'll have that back and forth and all that sort of thing. So we'll see. The Powkiddy V90S went up for pre-order a few days ago. Did you buy one? Looks like it is $45 US with a $5 code to bring it to $40. But then the shipping to the US is another $10, so it's really a $50 US handheld. Ha! Suck it, Americans! We get free shipping to Canada and you don't anymore. Suck it. I'm kidding. But I didn't buy this. I have no plan to. I don't see much reason for this one. The RG35XX SP is a good clamshell device if you want a clamshell device. The new RG34XX SP just came out, and maybe you could wait for a V2 with the new screen or whatever happens there. That's probably a better version. The Miu Mini Flip, the new one, is apparently coming out not too far in the near future. And so this is kind of like the last on the list, and it is still $50, which is 35XX SP goes on sale for lower than that on AliExpress quite often. So I don't know who or why or where you would buy this. No Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, no HDMI, none of that sort of thing. And I should probably mention, if you did not have the Powkiddy V20, okay, that was their A133P processor device, their only other one besides this one. There is a good chance the V90S is going to use the same custom software, or firmware, at least from them, that it'll get delivered with. And we don't have really good custom firmware options right now for the A133P yet. It's coming. So the operating system from Powkiddy on the V20 was among the worst that I have ever seen. Just giving you an example of what you cannot do. But you can't access saves or states on the V20. You can't access your BIOS on the V20. you can't do much of anything. The operating system was very locked down because they put it on the internal storage, not an SD card. It is baked into the actual internal storage of the device. When you go and connect it to a Windows PC, you can't access those files. You can if you go and buy a Wi-Fi adapter and you connect it there. And so it is a big absolute mess. I think you could probably run Linux in a virtual machine and maybe then you can connect it through there. I don't know, but I had that V20, could not access really anything besides adding ROMs, could not access saves or states, BIOS, whatever you want. I have a feeling the V90S is going to have that same problem because it is the same processor. And so I'm assuming they're using the same firmware as a base here, but I don't know. These are guesses on my front and my end. We'll have to see. A new MSI Claw is coming already, again, and this time with the new Z2 Extreme APU. They finally started shipping their Intel Claw a few months after release because of all the out-of-stock issues, and they raised the price on that, and they had a whole bunch of problems, and they just said, no, here's a new one. Here's another one. They are trying to go the Anbernic route here of releasing a device really quickly after another one and pretending that you forgot about the other one. Now, the specs of the Z2 Extreme are pretty much the exact same as the previous Claw 8 AI Plus, whatever you want to call it, except it is a Z2 Extreme processor inside, which is good. This actually probably solves a lot of the problems that I had. We'll see if they fix their software issues, but at least the processor part of it seems to be solved, at least on this front. So that's good. Now, I fully expect this will probably be in the $1,100 range. I'm guessing the Claw 8 AI is $999 now on bestbuy.com, I believe. So new Claw 8 with a better processor is likely going to be a bit more expensive. And that's a lot of money, but they do have cool colors that they're showing off, and that's really cool. It is something that's been missing in the x86 space is fun colors, because I mean, just because you're buying a more expensive device doesn't mean you don't want it to be fun. So that's cool. I want more manufacturers to do that. Let me know in the comments below. Does this entice you? Are you still going to wait a little bit longer? Like I've been saying, a bunch of devices are going to be coming out pretty soon. This is the first in the bunch. I'm curious to see how the Z2 Extreme APU performs. So hold off a bit if you are trying to pull a trigger on an x86 device because they're coming. Retroid has finally released the Retroid Pocket 5 Grip. Looks like it is $15 US, and then shipping is on top. So I don't know, it's maybe 27-ish or so dollars American or something. I didn't check what their shipping was. I'm assuming it's another $10, $12 like it usually is. It is a pricey grip, and it looks like it is pretty smooth. There isn't really any of those grippy parts like the Odin 2 Portals grip has, those textures, at least from the pictures. It just looks like it is super smooth. Probably helps you if you have a Retroid Pocket 5 to get this grip. I don't know what the other grips look like or what that situation is, but official is probably pretty good. This next piece of news comes in from Matt Davis, so thank you, Matt. Google is partnering with XREAL on a new line of glasses powered by Google's new Android XR operating system. That's right, a new future killed by Google product is coming real soon. Qualcomm is supplying the Snapdragon XR chips for these glasses here, and I'm curious about this because the XREAL ones are my favorite XR glasses, so I would love to see what they do here with a partnership with Google, although I have a feeling that it's going to be super expensive. I don't make eye anneal money, and so products like this can get really expensive really quickly, but I'm interested in it either way. Weekly reminder that our game of the month is Ratchet & Clank for the PlayStation 2, and I am not so much enjoying it. It didn't age well. I'm kind of actively hating myself while playing it. I think I'm maybe a little bit after halfway through the game right now. And it's good in some ways. It's bad in others. I would probably just play the modern Ratchet if I were to do it again. Look, it's not Shenmue levels of bad, but I'm not enjoying it either. So let's put it that way. Our ROM hack of the month is Super Mario World Return to Dinosaur Land, and then our game of the season is Suikoden. So come play some games. Some of them are fun. Now, as for what I've been playing this week, besides that, Doom, The Dark Ages, I hit credits on, and it was good. I don't know if I would say it was great. They're definitely missing Mick Gordon's soundtrack. It's missing that level. But on top of that, it is missing those epic moments, those fun, sarcastic moments from Doom 2016, where like the Doom guy will just, I'm trying to think of one example where like, don't push this button, and he just smashes the button, or like just instead of waiting for a monologuing villain, he just goes up and smashes them. Those kind of moments are kind of missing in this game. The like over the top funny parts of it. This is just like kind of paint by numbers. You go in, turn off your mind or your brain, and you go and shoot some demons. And that is fun in its own right. I enjoyed a lot of the game, but I'm not going to say it is the best Doom. It is also not the worst Doom. It is a good Doom. So I probably wouldn't pay full price for it, but if you get a chance on sale or Game Pass, yeah, play it. It is fun enough for that for 16 hours. It is just mindless killing demons for 16 hours, and that's cool. Now, I also hit credits on Assassin's Creed Shadows, finally. That game dragged quite a bit at the end, but still fun overall, I think, in my time with Assassin's Creed Shadows. I enjoyed it. I'll have to clear up all of these side quests and things like that now, but yeah, it was good. But, Fantasy Life just came out for normal people because they had the 3-day advanced, and I didn't want to buy that. I wasn't sure about Fantasy Life. However, for the last 2 days, I've been playing Fantasy Life, and oh yeah, it's so good. Okay, I don't know how many people have played Fantasy Life for the 3DS. It is I don't know if it's underrated. I don't know if it's maybe fell under the radar. I don't know how many people know about it, but it was fantastic. And so this is so far been the natural progression of that. It feels good. It runs fantastic. I was playing it at 10 watts on the GPD Win Mini, and it was getting about 60 FPS on low. Fine for me. That was good. So yeah, it runs great, plays great. So far, everything has been really good. So Fantasy Life, more for me next week. Fortnite has been officially blocked on the App Store in the US now. From the article, it seems like it has nothing to do with the lawsuit. Sure. But who knows? The back and forth battle between Epic and Apple has been fun to watch from the sidelines. Okay, so I had no idea there was a second Call of Duty game on mobile. And look, this is probably a me problem. I mean, I don't play Call of Duty on mobile ever, except when I have to test it for a device. So I never would have known this, but there was a Call of Duty game, Call of Duty Mobile, and then there was a Call of Duty Warzone Mobile. Nobody told me this. I had no idea. But apparently it is shutting down now. And so okay, who else was, this is probably, again, just me, maybe just me, but is there anybody else that had no idea there was a second Call of Duty game? Usually when I search for Call of Duty, there's one game, and I'm like, okay, I install this, I test it out. Does the controller work? Yes, it does. Does it play good? Yes, it does. All right, we're done. But there was a second one for Warzone, and I had no idea. Why didn't they just combine them? Why didn't they just be in the one single game? It's so weird. But either way, it is shutting down. It will no longer be playable. I don't know. The article is a little bit weird. It seems like you could still do some things, but maybe the servers aren't shutting down. Either way, they're stopping development, all of that sort of thing on Call of Duty Warzone Mobile. Metaphor ReFantazio and The Division 2 are both coming to Game Pass. I am an absolute fraud. I know. I still have not finished Metaphor, and I will one day, but you should absolutely play it. It's fantastic. Trust me. The Division 2 also makes me sad because where the hell is my Division 3? Division 2 was fun, especially if you play with friends. Division 3 would be super fun too. Just Ubisoft, man, you have the easiest layups of all time. Just do another Division 3. Make me happy here. But either way, both of these games are coming to Game Pass. Okay, so as of actual news for the day, besides this story, which is going to include a bunch of my commentary, which I know some of you don't like, that was it for the news. So if you only come for the news, you can exit now, you can leave. You don't have to be subject to the torture of my voice for a little bit longer, talking about something that I found interesting. Gamers Nexus did a big video calling out NVIDIA for trying to manipulate reviews. That is kind of the gist of it. But the video is that they were essentially blackmailing reviewers about having to report on things like frame generation and multi-frame generation. Is it multi-frame generation? MFG, whatever it is. I should know this. I have a 57 Ti. But either way. And they were trying to goad them into putting more about those two things into their videos. Because if you remember way back when Jensen came out and said the 5070 would have the power, was it 5070, 5070 Ti, would have the power of a 4090, and they were showing off MFG at 4x to get to that number, and then it ended up not being true in any scenario. And so it seems like NVIDIA wants to still push that message of frame generation, multi-frame generation, and they're trying to blackmail Gamers Nexus, other content creators in that space, and taking away access to other parts of NVIDIA's business, like their engineers and all this sort of thing. But the long and the story short of this is that they are kind of blackmailing reviewers in a way, and so Steve called them out on it. You should watch that entire video for a better explanation than I will ever do on what's going on. Now, as I watched that video, I could not help but relate it back to the retro handhelds hobby. Because as he kept bringing up things that they were doing, I was like, yeah, that company has done that to me or others. That company here has done that. Yeah, that company has done that. And I was like nodding along, being like, okay, so you have just NVIDIA doing this. On our end, we have everybody doing this. And I was nodding along to it. I'm like, yes, all of this happens on my end and the retro handheld hobby. So it was super interesting. But it was nice to see a video done like that gets support from the community instead of the vitriol and hate that you get on this side in this community. So maybe the graphics card community is a little bit more advanced in those ways. Now, just to use a few examples from our hobby, Anbernic cutting off reviewers after working with them for not liking what was said in those reviews. And you probably saw a little bit of this in today's video from Max Zoo's response, given the whole foreigners comment and all that sort of thing. So some of that seeps through, but you might think it's just me. It's just Joey that got blacklisted or doesn't get review units anymore, but it's not. There's been a few content creators that I've talked to behind the scenes that don't get them anymore. So yeah, that part sucks from Anbernic. And those aren't because of business decisions. They're not doing it because they don't have review units to send out or any of that sort of thing. They're doing it because they don't like what was being said. Now, Ioneo is a company that I have known for a long time, has sent out stringent guidelines for what you can and can't say in a video, what you can and can't do in a video, all that sort of thing. And they are very much of that nature, very much an NVIDIA type company in that way. And this has gone on for a while. They have cut off reviewers for not liking what they say, very similar to Anbernic. And you could find examples of that as well. I'm not even talking about me in this scenario. There are people out there that have been cut off by Ioneo because of what they've said. So that's two. Powkiddy doesn't have internet and they don't send out devices, so they don't count. Now, I've told this story before, but Miu tried to take my review down of the A30. And so Miu, I know, has that side to them as well. Although they don't send out devices, they also don't do anything else on the review front, any interaction. So I don't know if they matter here. It just, I have to keep bringing up the point that they tried to take down my review of the A30. And I got flack from the community for bringing that up in my Miu Flip review, because for some reason people don't want to know that. But yeah, but Steve is allowed to do that video. Why can't I? Now, Retroid is a weird one. I recently discovered that pretty much every review unit that's ever been sent by Retroid has been a manufacturing sample, an engineering sample, and so not a finished product. And I wish I would have known this. I only found that out because when I teared down my Retroid Pocket Mini to do that V2 upgrade, it said engineering sample or manufacturing sample right on it. So yeah, the trust there is kind of gone. Now, the Retroid Pocket 5 review unit situation with the unfinished software is a direct correlation to the RTX 5060 and what's going on there. And I found it interesting to see the parallels for what happens with the 5060 in a niche that is a bit more advanced and has people with spines as opposed to our niche where it's kind of different. And so the fact that they haven't sent me a Retroid Pocket Classic for review after all the things with the Retroid Pocket Flip 2 means that I don't know where Retroid stands currently anymore, if they are kind of done. But sending out engineering samples and not telling anybody and then sending out unfinished devices for review with unfinished software and all that sort of thing is not cool at all. Now, AYN, I have nothing bad to say about, honestly. AYN on the review unit process has been A+. They tell you what's coming. They tell you if it is a final unit. If it's not a final unit, they tell you what's wrong with it. They tell you what they know is being fixed. They tell you everything. They give you all of that information up front. And then they also communicate with you behind the scenes. They reach out, they talk to you, and you can have back and forth with them about what you find, what you know, all that sort of thing. The device doesn't just show up on your doorstep and they're like, okay, we'll see what he does. It's just back and forth, as it should be. So AYN, A+ on my part. And they also didn't say boo when I teared down the Loki, because I went hard on that thing. They didn't care at all. So that's cool. That is how you should be. Magic X, also surprisingly a good company to talk to. They have good back and forth behind. They don't try and do anything sneaky, that sort of thing. Listen, at this point, I was their biggest critic for their original device. At this point, I can see that it's an entirely different device, different company, all that. And they were nice enough to ask if I wanted to review or check out a pre-development unit a few months back. And I declined. I said no, I didn't want to do it. They were nice enough to just ask instead of sending the device and then seeing what happens. So they are A+ in my book too. But yeah, I am kind of rambling a bit. Steve would probably have a conniption in our hobby if he had to deal with the things that we have to deal with on this end for the things that he called out NVIDIA for and other reviewers in that space that call out NVIDIA for. We get all of that sort of thing on the retro handhelds hobby. And it's interesting because every time you try and talk about it, you get flack for it and vitriol and hate. You guys don't see a lot of the stuff that I get. It's bad. But as I step back from doing reviews as I used to do, I'm kind of not doing them because it's not fun for me to do them anymore. This stuff doesn't matter as much to me, but it did suck for about 2 years or so to have to deal with this. I love the video. I love how he laid it all out. I love how he's consumer first. I love all of that. It is super refreshing to see those types of videos, super refreshing to see that you can do those types of videos and not get extreme hate for it. It was awesome. It was inspiring to see as a content creator, somebody else that has kind of all the values that you have and just does it a lot better than you do. So it was inspiring on my part. All right, so let's end off with some Newscast Q&A. As always, newscast@joeysretrohandhelds.com to send in your emails, or come join the Discord. There's a Newscast Q&A channel. You can send them in through there. This comes in from Tea Time Gaming. Question for Joey and anyone else. What is your favorite soundtrack from a game? Bonus points if you can point me to one specific banger that I can start with. I want to know your answers too in the comments, so let me know. But before Expedition 33, I would have said Persona 5, and I should have looked up what the songs were called, but you could probably just pick any banger from Persona 5. There is some, I'm missing it. What, is it Take Your Heart? Is that what the something, Take Your Heart, something like that? I'd never look up these names of these soundtracks, but yeah, go there. But Expedition 33 is the easiest answer here. The soundtrack is full of bangers. Lumiere is banging. Flying Waters Go Blue is also fantastic. Minoko's theme song, Claire Obscure. There's so many. Expedition 33, best soundtrack in gaming. I'm putting my foot down. Best soundtrack in gaming. Persona 5 would have been my previous answer, but Expedition 33 has taken up that mantle. This next question comes in from Matt Davis. What do you hate more, the Metal Shell Retroid Pocket 3 Plus or the Florida Panthers? This is a Leafs joke, but this question hurts so much more now. I don't hate the Panthers. The Leafs suck. Look, I have been a Leafs fan for 36 years. I have seen all manner of Leafs at this point. It doesn't matter anymore. We Leaf fans who have been around for a long time go into playoffs with the lowest of expectations, the absolute lowest. So when things like what happened with the Panthers happen, you're disappointed. You're no longer angry. You're just like, okay, we'll see next year. Because this was the most Leafs ending that could possibly Leaf ending ever. Losing game 5, winning game 6, losing game 7 in a blowout. It is the most Leafs thing in the world. So, yeah, I don't hate the Panthers. The Retroid Pocket 3 Plus, I guess, is my answer for the Metal Edition. This question comes in from Super Bottle. Name your top 3 underrated retro games. I hate this question because I never know what is underrated, what is accurately rated, what is... like if I say Harvest Moon Back to Nature, is that an accurately rated game? Is it underrated? I don't know. But can I say Harvest Moon Back to Nature as one of them? We'll go with that. I just played for the frog whom the bell tolls, for whom the bell tolls the what is it? What is this game name? It is a Game Boy Color game for the frog whom the bell tolls. I think it's called. It's some weird game, and that might be a little underrated. It apparently spawned Zelda. It was like the precursor to Zelda. So we'll go with that one, I guess. And what's a third underrated game? I don't know. I don't know what is underrated. I can't answer this question. I'm sorry. I'm going to blank on this third one. This last question comes in from Draven, because I guess he saw Super Bottle's question. Name your top 3 overrated games. This is going to get me in so much trouble. Metroid. All of Metroid. I'm fully aware this is going to cause a whole bunch of unsubscribing, but I cannot do Metroid. I just can't. The whole backtracking to get to a place that you were at before and going through the entire level to get to where you were, then going back and forth and not knowing what is next and all of that. No chance that I would like it. So I have dropped every Metroid that I've ever tried. Metroid. The next one, Monster Hunter. All of Monster Hunter. I don't care. You can pick one. Doesn't matter. I've tried every single Monster Hunter. And I'm gonna lose so many people here, but I can't do Monster Hunter. It is not fun at all. It is so slow. It is chasing a boss for an hour, and then none of that is fun at all. And so that's gonna lead into my next one, and that is Dark Souls, or like any Dark Souls. Doesn't matter. I've tried Bloodborne. I've tried Dark Souls. I've tried Elden Ring. I've tried all of them. Lies of P was probably the closest I came to liking a Dark Souls game-ish. And that isn't even Dark Souls, but overrated. All of these 3 games are overrated to me because I don't like them. I can see why people like them if like you have nothing else going on in your life and like these are the only games that you could buy. But no to any of these games. None of them. No. That's all we have for this week. If you are sticking around for next week, newscast@joeysretrohandhelds.com is the email address, or the Newscast Q&A channel on the Discord is another one too. Appreciate you all for watching, and that's all for me, Dinosaur, Colorado.